Welcome, everybody, to episode 18 of the Dual Boot Diaries, PCWorld's weekly podcast, following two longtime Windows users learning to use Linux daily. I am one of your hosts, Adam Patrick Murray.
And I'm Will Smith. We are not Linux experts, but what we are going to do, theoretically, at the end of this run, is we're going to delete a partition, either Windows or Linux from our machines. We're going to go on with our life once we've decided whether we should, whether we're ready to quit dual booting and begin single booting.
Yeah, and the episode 18 marks the last normal episode of 2026. We will have next week a special guest episode.
That's true.
That'll hit, and then we're planning maybe some sort of live little shenanigans on January 2nd.
Yeah,
but this is our last diary check-in of the year.
I was gonna say maybe we should show our people have asked about our environments. I would love to know what you would like to have in a live Dual Boot Diaries context.
Yeah.
Like we could show desktops. We can do a little bit of like touring around different desktop environments or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
That's a good question. Also, before we get to our diary entries, I will say that we have a live studio audience here with us. One Elena Yee from PCWorld is
this
watching us
doesn't
live.
Count for prediction purposes as an appearance, though.
Yeah. This is not official appearance. She's here enjoying taking in all of the Linux talk that we're having here.
Just learning. Just absorbing.
We have a little bit of diary work. We got a kind of a main topic. We got a couple questions to get to, and then we'll get out of here because we're ready to get on our break too.
Yeah.
So
do you want me to kick off? I got a couple of things.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So for folks who watched PCWorld 2,
PCWorld 2, the sequel.
Yeah, PCWorld Harder.
Wow.
We did some builds yesterday. We did like our wrap up, or I guess it was earlier this week for people listening to this. But as we record this, it was yesterday. We were in here all day long recording, did a live stream where we like wrapped up loose ends from the year and among other things. And one of those things that I did was build a small form factor stream machine for my streaming setup at home.
Well, it wasn't so much of a new build. It was kind of repurposing some parts for some testing you had already done. But I'm excited about this one.
But the goal is I wanted to have I didn't want to have to tear down. I didn't want to tear down my existing stream machine and switch it to Linux. Partly because the hardware is kind of lightly supported that's in it, but partly because I don't want to. Like it's not going to be a gentle on ramp to getting the stream up and running in Linux. I did some research about this, and one of the things that really surprised me is that plugins and source support for Ubuntu varies by operating system and even distro in some cases.
No,
so
Ubuntu? No, you said Ubuntu.
I mean in Linux. Sorry.
Okay.
So between Linux and Windows, and between different distros even. Okay. So for OBS Studio. So for example. For folks who don't know, OBS, you have, when you put something on a screen in OBS, it's called a source. Those sources can be any number of things. It can be a video device. It can be static images. It can be video. It can be a single video. It can be like a VLC playlist. It can be a browser source where you just point a URL at it. And those things all get composited and layered together to make the final image that then gets blasted out to YouTube or Twitch, or gets saved on a hard drive like we're doing right now, actually. And a lot of those source types are only available in certain combinations. So, for example, Arch and Arch derivatives, the version of OBS that ships in the Arch repository, doesn't support browser sources by default because the packager doesn't like the implementation of the browser that's there. So there's no browser plugin, which means none of your overlays or any of that stuff works, which is weird. The version now, OBS releases an official Flatpak of OBS Studio.
Okay, but Flatpak, that doesn't sound good.
Flatpak is probably actually okay for this because it means the dependencies are kind of bundled in and all that.
Well, but then I feel like you'd have a hard time getting stuff to connect. Didn't you have that problem with your webcam?
A little bit of trouble, but that's tractable, and like you use the official one, it kind of works itself out. The problem with that one is if you use a VLC source to do a playlist of videos, which is what I do on Windows right now, to do like the pre-roll video that comes up, which is like clips from previous streams. Well, guess what? No VLC source plugin in the Flatpak version. And the maintainer of that has multiple times said, no, it's a nightmare from dependency standpoint. We're not going to ever do it. So then I started looking at other things, like other ways that people package OBS and other ways you can install it. And as always, infinite choices. The thing that took me to was a distro, an Ubuntu variant called Ubuntu Studio, which they bill as for creators, a content creation studio on your computer that's free.
And it's built off of the, they have the two versions. They do have the LTS, the 24.04.3 LTS version.
Which is the Noble Numbat.
Yeah, and also the brand new 2510.
2510. So I was looking at these. I think I'm probably going to install the testing version, the regular release, the Questing Quokka version, 2510.
Yeah, and that one, I think they usually cite as like 9 month support, I think is what they do for the quick release ones.
But you can also roll it into the next LTS if you want when the time comes. So yeah, because the thing I realized is I do actually want OBS updates because they're often meaningful and impactful and good. So for example, there was a recent update for OBS that fixed the thing where if you close it when virtual camera's running, it throws up a, hey, this closed unsafely and crashed warning. Huge upgrade. I can't go back to the way that was before. But the other thing that's nice about Ubuntu Studio is it also has like Pipewire and Jack support, as well as all the stuff that lets you kind of route. So my Stream PC is hooked up to a Behringer XR18, which is a fairly big digital mixer, like 18 inputs, the whole deal. And it lets me route each of those inputs to different audio interfaces in a way that I can control so that when I'm on that machine, for example, it captures Discord and feed from the HDMI card and other types of inputs and kind of routes them through in a way that I can add them as individual inputs in OBS, which means I can then do things like mute people on Discord or mute the game or mute myself or mute notifications all independently of each other, which is nice. So anyway,
and you run all that on the streaming
on the
machine
PC right now,
because you have a 2 PC setup. You want the main PC to just deal with the games.
Just the game.
Yeah, and so you have the second PC, which I want to back up real quick. Usually you use that as, for lack of a better term, hand-me-down hardware, right?
Usually it's the kind of downstream of the last main system upgrade,
So, and that's kind of what it is right now.
So right now it's a 9900K with a 3080, I think, maybe a 3080 Ti, I can't remember which one. And it's 32 gigs of RAM. It could probably run on 16 on Linux. On Windows, OBS uses a fair amount of RAM.
Well, I think I do want to ask, so why don't you want to run that on Windows anymore?
I'm interested in the kind of appliancey nature of Linux. I mean, look, if part of this process is moving away from Windows as much as possible, having a machine that requires constant Windows updates, like this is a machine that the LTS life seems pretty good, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want it to be like an appliance, right? I want to set it up and then I want to turn it on, have it boot straight into the OS, launch the tools that I need, OBS, the bot that I use, the control panel for the Behringer mixer, all the audio piping stuff, and Discord, and then nothing else. And I don't want it to ever be like, hey man, have you considered upgrading to Windows 25H2?
Because
I don't want
backing up your PC.
Yeah, I don't want to back up my PC. I don't want OneDrive. I don't need Game Pass. I don't need Office. I just want it to do this one thing. And then I want it to save those clips when people type a clip command in chat. I want it to save a clip locally and on Twitch, which the bot handles nicely. Okay. And then I want at the end of the thing to copy those new clips up to my NAS so I can go through them on my main PC. And I don't really want to ever have to look at this PC. I just want it to kind of run quietly in the background.
And obviously you want it to be stable.
I need it to be rock solid because the other reason you do a 2 PC setup, especially if you're playing kind of high end games, is that if the gaming machine crashes or whatever for whatever reason, then the stream doesn't end. The stream keeps going. It's just black screen for a couple minutes, and then when the PC boots back up, you're good to go. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I'm looking at I haven't actually done the install yet, but I'm looking at that Ubuntu Studio, and I'm not sure which version I'm going to install. I'm not even sure if the Ubuntu Studio is a good idea. I might maybe the right choice since I'm more familiar with the Arch stuff, and I'm familiar with Paru and Pac-Man and all the kind of Arch underpinnings, is to look at like Manjaro or Endeavor or one of the other Arch-based more like long-term support distros than Cashy. And give that a try.
Well, as someone once told me, it's okay to like Ubuntu. It's like vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, this is a vanilla application.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, exactly. Yeah. No, I also do want to say, so what we did on the stream on Monday on PCWorld was you had a small form factor box that you kind of tried this out with
on Windows.
Yeah, it was Windows, and it was an Intel based CPU, had no discrete GPU. You were trying to see if you could use the Intel QuickSync to do the encoding.
Well, and also the built-in GPU on the Arrow Lake processor to do the compositing. Because there's two things that OBS does, right? One is it combines all those sources and merges them from a bunch of disparate files into one video output.
Which
so
is
that's
usually
the compositing,
GPU intensive.
and that's GPU intensive. But it's not GPU intensive like a game. It's GPU intensive like a web browser, right?
Yeah.
You're compositing a bunch of stuff together. The other part is then taking that feed and transcoding it into like an H.264, H.265, or AV1 output, or multiples of those, and sending them to Twitch. Now the catch is these days Twitch does this enhanced broadcasting thing where you can send up to 1440p streams at 120 frames per second, which is kind of nice. Except there's a catch. There's always a catch. You have to you actually have to have those have to be encoded on NVIDIA GPU, because in order to do that you have to send them multiple lower resolution streams, so that instead of you sending one stream to Twitch and then transcoding it, you're actually sending 5 streams to Twitch.
You're doing the work for them.
You're doing the work for them. The end result, which matters for Twitch, I think, more than probably YouTube, is that everybody's on the same kind of latency. Everybody has the same low latency feed, because when you let Twitch do that translation layer, what is it called? Transcoding layer. Thank you. It adds a bunch of latency for the people that are using those other streams. So people who are watching on phones or on Apple TVs or set-top boxes and stuff like that see a higher latency chat. So they're always like 10 seconds behind everybody else in chat is what ends up happening.
So you took apart that little test rig, which you just the CPU is probably enough grunt power. It's
the low end Aero with graphics, yeah.
But the integrated GPU just wasn't cutting it.
I had crashes in OBS, and I don't know if it was because in Windows, and I don't know if that was because of the compositing or the encoding. I didn't spend that much time breaking it down. But yeah, it was a little bit unstable.
And also, I think, like you pointed out, you want to have access to those high-end Twitch features, which require an NVIDIA GPU.
The high-end, honestly, it's the streaming at 120 frames a second, I think, is the most interesting of those. Yeah. Because like, for games, especially as people have more high refresh rate monitors, it's kind of interesting, and I think it's cool to do that.
So you transported transplanted the guts from that system into a new case, which you then will also use an NVIDIA GPU.
That'll work with the discrete GPU, yeah.
So, and then the other part of it is putting Linux on it.
The Linux is I'm not going to even put Windows on it. I'm going to take Windows off.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even if the Linux experiment doesn't work, you're going to go back to your old setup?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, because this is a smaller case.
I think the Linux is tractable. I like the smaller case just from hey, I can just put this on a corner on my shelf and not think about it too much.
Yeah.
I think the Linux, I'm going to be really surprised if the Linux doesn't work. I think it's just a matter of what's repeatable, what's going to be easy for me to back up, and what, like, in a funny way, some of the stuff that's kind of a pain in the butt on Windows, like writing the script that copies the clips that are generated every stream and copying just the new ones onto the NAS, kind of was a pain in the butt. On Linux, that's going to be really easy because it's just like a straight bash script.
Oh,
right.
That's nice.
So, yeah.
Funny enough, like, to piggyback off this, like, I think I actually have had some people mentioned Ubuntu Studio, or there's there's another one out there. Yeah, I don't remember if it was Fedora, but there was another that was focused on like audio editing. And now I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, like I do like this idea of ones that are just for creative workloads. And actually, I ran across, I downloaded DaVinci Resolve for reasons. I have nothing to report here, but I was going through and I looked at their system requirements, and they call out specifically Rocky Linux 8.6 or CentOS 7.3.
They have real explicit Linux, and I'm going to go and tell you, there's a DaVinci Resolve package in the Arch repository, not the user repository, in the main cache repositories. I installed that on my desktop PC the other day, and I like looked at it. I was like, I'm not going to click on this because if I do and it doesn't work, it's going to be a big giant hole that I don't have time to deal with right now.
Yeah.
But I'll do it over the break. And I clicked it the other day just to see what would happen, and it absolutely did not work. And it popped up with a bunch of error messages that were like, hey, you need this and this and this. And I was like, okay. So then I installed those 3 things, and I clicked it again. And then there were some more things that it said it needed. And then I just closed that terminal, and I figured I'll come back to it later when I have some time.
That's funny. I ran into some of those same things too. So like it is really interesting like especially for my needs, right? Like I have two PCs.
Yeah.
One is primarily work, one is primarily games.
Yeah.
And like I do wonder if maybe like Fedora is not a good in between in some ways, because the gaming one I am going to go with Bazite.
Baked ziti.
Baked ziti. Yeah, thank you.
Bazit.
And then for the work one,
says it. Bazite.
Bazit.
Bazit.
I can't remember.
I don't know. He doesn't believe in the silent E.
And so for the work one, man, yeah, maybe we should just lean into actual work distros, like
just get Red Hat Enterprise on there. Just go hardcore.
Well, no, I mean, have you heard of Rocky or CentOS?
Well, Rocky is just a version. That means it's what did I say? We're on Questing Quokka, so it's one back. QR. It's one.
Oh, it's just a kernel version.
It's just a kernel. It's a Ubuntu. It's the code name for one of the releases. It's an LTS.
Why wouldn't
release.
they just say Ubuntu? That feels weird.
Is it Rocky? Which one is it?
Rocky Linux is what it said. 8.6 is the minimum.
They're saying Rocky Linux, not not Ubuntu.
This is an
Rocky.
actual distro.
Okay, so Rocky Linux is its own thing, as is the other one.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the
CentOS.
I don't know what the down.
This is cool wallpaper.
Yeah.
It says it's rock solid
CentOS.
no matter the use case.
Yeah, so like I do wonder. Look, Rocky is Red Hat.
This is the community one. There was scene drama here. I don't know.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing is that like I do worry, especially specific things like DaVinci. If
DaVinci's hard to get working, is what I've been told.
If we're going to need to go into one of those, because I mean, if Blackmagic is saying, hey, you should use these, I do wonder.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
We'll see. I guess we'll see.
I mean, people do it. It's definitely possible to be done. The thing I will say about looking at the Ubuntu Studio stuff, and I sit on my laptop last night, late at night, and I was like, I have the thumb drive here. And I put on the thumb drive and I did a live CD, and it has this, I can't remember what it's called. It's Carla, I think is what it's called. It's a routing patch bay for your virtual audio rack.
That looks cool.
That is like, it was super cool. I was like, oh man, this is so much better. I would have to have like 3 layers of voice meter in Windows to make this happen. And with this, it's just built in. So that sounds pretty nice. Cool. I'll fire it up at the break, and hopefully we'll talk about it in the new year sometime. I
mean, listen, yeah, if you have a good experience with it too, maybe that becomes my actual.
You do love vanilla.
Yeah. Hey, some there's always something to be said for it. Well, what else you got?
Let's see, what else do I got? I took that Falcata ASUS keyboard home to test it out. This is the one with the magnetic switches, because I wanted to kind of get hands on with that, as it were. And the web config doesn't work in Linux.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
So I tried it with Chromium. I didn't try it with Edge yet.
Wait, this is something we've like lauded as like, this is great. You don't have to worry about downloading a program.
It kind of worked.
It
asked you which hardware you wanted to connect to, and then you got the browser prompt that was like, hey, which hardware you want to give it access to. Weirdly, it picked up all of the ASUS hardware in my system. So it picked up the Aura controller on the motherboard and my AIO, which is an ASUS AIO, and as well as the remote, the 2.4 gigahertz dongle. The problem was it wouldn't connect when it was in USB mode at all. And it would only see the dongle, and you couldn't actually control any of the settings in the web config. Now, in fairness, in ASUS's defense, they explicitly say it supports Windows and Mac OS. It does not. They do not say that it supports Linux with this.
I mean, I just would have thought that if it was browser based.
You know what assuming does.
Yeah, man.
So anyway, that was a little bit of a bummer.
Oh, that is a bummer.
But the thing I realized is a lot of the stuff that you would use that for, obviously, I couldn't get access to the software that lets you control things like the actuation depth, because that's the benefit of the magnetic switch keyboards, is that you can control where the switch fires, right?
Which is fairly new technology.
Fairly new technology, yeah. You can't control that with the hardware. With the software, there are hardware controls for that. So you're not completely out of luck. Yeah, and you can boot into Windows and set it up there, save it to a profile on the device, and then just use the profile on the device when you're in Linux. But that kind of sucks. The thing I realized, though, is that the stuff like keymapping, you totally can do in Linux, because you can just change the key map of your, and we talked about this a little bit last week with some of your volume buttons and stuff like that. But like, I forget that infinite control over your system in the OS means, oh, right, if you want to do something really stupid like rebind your ASDF keys, you can totally do that. Like that's a thing that's allowed.
Yeah. Why not?
The tools to do that are there and relatively easy to use. It's just editing some text files, and you can make your computer impossible for another human being to use just by, switching to a Colmac layout or something, making an Atom layout.
Yeah, then it's yours.
So yeah, then it's yours forever.
Nobody can hop on it and steal it.
Exactly.
Or if they do, they get frustrated and throw it in the trash.
But it lets you do what you want with like your Copilot key and stuff like that, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and when I was talking about this in the capacity of the Kensington trackball, a lot of people did message to be like, oh, hey, you should try out this application, that application. I personally haven't had time to try, but did you try any specific ones?
So I have looked at that a little bit. I just went into the Neri config and rebound the stuff that I wanted to be bound to specific things.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's mostly,
nice.
Just to be clear, that's keyboard shortcuts, probably not the actual key mappings. I like the key mapping to just be what it is.
Right. Yeah. Like, well, that was going to be my last question. Like, what are you actually trying to change?
So, for example, something that I change on every mouse that I get is I really hate clicking the middle mouse button, or the wheel. So I always make one of those. I always swap one of the thumb buttons with the middle mouse button. So the middle mouse becomes like mouse 4, and the thumb button is the middle mouse click.
Okay.
And on the Logitech mouse that I'm using now, I just do that in the hardware once. I save it to the local memory, and then that's just the default forever and ever. But in Linux, I could easily do that with a config change.
What about on the keyboard? What are you trying to change on the keyboard?
I'm not trying to change anything on the keyboard.
Oh, you weren't? Oh,
no.
Oh,
I was just looking.
You were just trying to see if it worked.
I was trying to see what I could get to. So on that Asus keyboard, there's a couple of keys that are in slightly unusual places for me that I might swap around a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
if I end up using
I will say, luckily, I mean, I haven't had a ton of time. I will say we do have reviews up over on PCWorld.com, and one Elena Yee in the audience right now. She actually covered it as well, but a lot of stuff you can do on hardware, adjusting the actuation, things like that. So I wonder how much you can actually do on the hardware and not have to worry about.
I mean, at least unlike that Kensington, that Asus keyboard has onboard memory profiles, so you can save the profile locally, and then it's just there.
Yeah.
Last thing, and this is also related to setting up that stream machine, is the way I have my desk set up. That machine, the screen for it's off to the right, and it's in a profoundly uncomfortable place because I have a USB switch for the keyboard and mouse that are on the desktop. So I just hit a button to switch between the stream PC and the desktop PC.
KVM?
Well, it's not a KVM.
Oh, it's not a KVM.
Yeah, because KVM's basically set up an emulation mouse and keyboard, and then they pass through signals, and there's an interpretation layer, so it adds a little bit of latency and like doesn't always pass through like your volume up and down and stuff like that, the weird keys on your keyboard. USB switch just disconnects and reconnects each time you press the button.
It's literally just like if you pulled it out.
It's if I plugged it and unplugged. I use that because I don't want the latency, and because like 99% of the time the only way I interface with that streaming machine is with the Stream Deck and Stream Deck buttons. So what I was looking at is ways to do like the remote desktop equivalent with Linux. So ways that I can sit on my main computer, connect to that machine that's sitting 3 feet to my right, and have it on the monitor in front of me where it's comfortable to work on when I'm doing extended setup and stuff like that.
Because you're not worried about the latency going to configure the stream machine. You're worried about the latency on your main desktop.
Yeah, when I'm playing games.
Yeah. So you would be fine just controlling it remotely.
To set up the machine remotely, that's totally fine. Once I have it set up, I'm not gonna. It's not. I won't use that anymore. It's just while I'm sitting there. It's literally just so I'm not like this trying to type.
And people are like, man, who is Will looking at over there?
Yeah, exactly.
So he's looking off
somebody
to the right.
behind Adam. That's weird. So I read about Rust Desk, which is a all Rust kind of. It kind of looks like that. What's the one that always advertises the log me in or whatever? Like you type in a 16-digit code and then you give it a password and it connects you remotely over the internet with anybody else's computer.
Oh, God, there's so many.
It's like
of those.
log me in, or there's a bazillion of them. Yeah. So it's like that. It handles the encryption for you. A lot of people said you can just use VNC and SSH. A lot of people said you could use Sunshine and Moonlight, but that seems like overkill for what I'm doing there. So anyway, I'm going to explore that some more next week and
is side note, is Rust Desk related to Rust?
Yeah, it's all written in Rust.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I think that's why it came up first, just because people are pretty hot on Rust. So if people have recommendations on that, I would love those, and I'll definitely check out the comments for that.
Yeah, and it, like, you want it to be a light lift. You don't need it to anything.
I don't.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I want to install a package and run the package, and then connect from the other computer, install the package on the other computer and connect on the other computer, and never have to think about anything about it again. I want it to be really, really, it needs to be really, really easy, because it's something I'm going to use like one time for like 2 or 3 days, hopefully.
If you already have Sunshine installed on that system.
I don't.
Well, I thought you did, because that's what you
I have Sunshine on my gaming machine.
Well, no.
I mean, I have Moonlight on the gaming machine. I don't have Sunshine
so
on the
if you have Moonlight
machine.
on the gaming machine already.
Yeah, that doesn't help. Because I need to connect to the other one.
Well, but can't you have 2 Sunshines that Moonlight can connect to? So you could connect to your Steam Deck if you ever.
But I don't have Moonlight on the
Steam
PC.
Deck.
I only have Sunshine on the PC. I have the server on the PC, on the gaming PC.
Well, no, I was saying put Sunshine on the streaming machine.
Yeah, but I don't want to have it running all the time after this.
Well, you can shut off from Moonlight.
So.
Yeah, and you could. I don't know if you can wake it from Moonlight though. I don't think you can.
I don't want to wake it. I would hit the power button anyway. So yeah, the Rust Desk thing looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll try that and let folks know how it goes. And that's pretty much it. The other stuff from last week, the saves between the Mister and the Steam Deck, I haven't had time to fool with. The HDR for Linux, I did fool with that a little bit, and it looks like an enormous hole that I'm going to deal with in the new year.
Yeah, don't go down that HDR hole.
No, you don't want to be in the HDR hole.
It's true blacks down there.
And then the virtual camera on root access for OBS virtual cameras. A lot of people had thoughts about that, and I haven't had time to try any of them. So yeah.
I want to check in. You've had a couple weeks now with that Framework 13.
It's some hot biz. It's real good.
But performant, have you had any?
Performance is great. Battery life's a little worse than the Lunar Lake machine was, which isn't a surprise.
Yeah, that one's pretty.
I think that there's probably some tuning room. I haven't gone through and done. Like the the Framework Arch wiki page has a bunch of packages you can install to give you really granular control over power usage and what gets turned on and off at different times. Oh. And I haven't actually gone all the way down that yet because it's fairly involved.
Okay.
But yeah, like the battery life is still like all day good. I haven't had to recharge. I can come to work all day, and it'll be at like 20% when I get home.
Okay.
So that's pretty good.
Have you swapped out any of the ports?
Let's see. I used you're gonna laugh. I used the headphone audio port to record this week's episode of the Tech Pod. Mm-hmm. So I alluded to this last week. I think we are ranking startup sounds for our holiday break.
Is that what it is?
We banked 2 episodes for the holiday hiatus. Mm-hmm. The first one will be up on Sunday of this week, and it's console, handheld, Windows, Mac.
That's a lot of startup
all
sounds.
Of the startup sounds. We had like 50 or 60 of them.
That's a lot of startup sounds.
We didn't rank them, we tier listed them.
Oh, okay.
So because the kids love tier lists.
I mean, who doesn't?
What I've been told.
Who doesn't?
Yes, we have S tier. I mean, you can I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I plugged the headphone out into the line in on my audio interface, booted into Linux, fired up Reaper, and captured my track and the beep track, the sound effect track, the startup soundtrack at the same time. So it was an easier edit.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
But then when I brought that back the next day, you were like, hey, you know that there's a headphone jack on that laptop.
Whoops.
Well, it was on the wrong side.
You could have had 2.
It was on the wrong side.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it worked out.
All right.
Anyway.
So let's move over to my diary entries. I don't have a ton, to be fair.
It's been a busy week.
Well, literally the last week, the last days before the end of the year, and we're trying to not only finish up what we have this year, trying to plan stuff that's going to go up over the break, and then also CES, planning for CES. So yes, I did not get to do a ton. I actually did bring home that System 76 laptop, the Darter Pro that they had sent me, because if you remember correctly, I wanted to install the new Cosmic version of Pop! OS on there. I actually did install it. But the install did not wipe the other bootable partitions.
Did the install not, or did you not during the install?
I just used the default install and said, hey, wipe the disk and install Pop! OS.
And it didn't do it.
And well, I mean, it wiped the disk.
Yeah.
But then in Grub, I'm still seeing the logins for Fedora and Ubuntu.
That's wild.
And then when I tried to, anyway.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to fix it. I do really want to try out that Cosmic. I keep seeing
cool.
reviews of it. Like my favorite YouTube channel right now for Linux stuff is Learn Linux TV. He put a review up of Cosmic, and yeah, like it seems to be gaining a groundswell. So congratulations to the System 76 people for that. I do want to try it more, but I didn't get a chance. I did get a little bit of work done in the gaming department. So I had installed that Sapphire RX 9070 XT that Sapphire sent over. Thank you, Sapphire. I had to make a couple changes in my small form factor gaming rig to allow that card to fit, because it's a true 3-slot card, which is fine. It fits in the case that I have, but I needed to bias the spine over all the way, which means I had to change the CPU cooler, because the CPU cooler I had in there was for more like a 2.5 slot card. Mm-hmm. And then but I'm still using Windows. I did run into a weird issue. I mean, I guess I can bring it up here, but like I was running some games on there just to make sure that card is working correctly and all that kind of stuff. And I have the drivers loaded. Most of the games worked fine. Arc Raiders. I played some Call of Duty. I played some Stellar Blade. I played like a bunch of games that I know how it runs on the system I used to have. So then I was like, oh, okay, well, what can I
Yeah, what are you going to get?
Yeah, what am I eyeballing for performance? I'm not doing any official benchmarks at this point, but what am I eyeballing for performance? I'm going to get used to that. So then when I go over to Linux, and I can be like, okay, how am I feeling it? But right now, I mean, I've been on that 5080 since pretty much launch, so that's what I'm used to. So I got to get used to this 9070 XT. I did run into one issue, which was Silent Hill 2 Remake. I wanted to replay that, and like all the chatter I've seen is like, oh yeah, it runs okay. I mean, it is pretty heavy on ray tracing, but I loaded it up, and that thing, it just runs like junk. It'll either hard crash on me, or even if I turn all the ray tracing features off, turn all the settings down to low, like potato quality kind of stuff. Like it's not using.
Is that on the AMD card?
Yeah, it's on the AMD. So it's the 9070 XT with a 7800 X3D. And yes, like just something's not right. And I've seen some people mention that there's problems with it on AMD stuff, but I've also seen plenty of people who have like, oh yeah, here's me playing it on YouTube, and it's running just fine on that 9070 XT. So I don't know what's going on there.
Did you look at ProtonDB?
Well, I'm on Windows still.
Oh
yeah, so it should be running fine on Windows.
Oh, I thought we were talking about. Wow.
No. So like I said, I'm trying to get a good feel for it, so that when I do switch to Linux.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, I missed that part. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and the weird thing that I'm getting, like I need to do more troubleshooting, but the weird thing I'm getting is that like, even when I'm turning, like at first I thought, okay, well maybe ray tracing, maybe it's just not performant on this card. Yeah. So I turn off the ray tracing stuff, because it does have a fallback mode, and nothing, and it won't use all of the percentage utilization on GPU. So yeah, I'm using the built-in.
You tried the DS11 mode?
Does it have it? I don't know if it has.
Yeah, you can flag it on the command line instead.
Okay, maybe I should try that. Yeah,
that should be like last resort.
Yeah, because you're probably missing a lot of good.
You're going to lose a lot of performance, and you're not going to have any of the fancy juice.
Yeah,
on the
so that was real weird. So I think
that sucks.
I have more troubleshooting to do, but the idea is that we're going to go on break. Today's the last work day. We're going to go on break. And I'm over the break. I'm going to install.
You're going to play some Silent Hill
and start doing stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's other games too, not just Silent Hill, but I've been wanting to replay that, so I was using that as an example.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe I'll just load Linux and it'll run
just be
fine
better.
There. So I don't know.
I had an update on a game thing I talked about a little bit last week. The Arc Raiders crash in Linux when you're alt tabbing while the game loads. 100% crash. You alt tab while you're in a load screen, or while the load screen is popping up. Crashes every time. It seems to be related to the game popping a notification when you load into a match after queuing. So it pops up a system level notification that says, hey, your game's ready. You should come back to Arc Raiders and play. Which is nice, because like you load into a game in that game, you don't want to get killed while you're at the spawn.
I guess I'm usually never doing that. So
yeah. Well, sometimes, I mean, I think they were planning for longer queue times than they have probably.
Okay.
Using GameScope in Linux, which is the Steam thing that they use.
The overlay.
It's basically like a wrapper for overlay for Steam games. Totally fixed it. so it does not crash anymore. Huh. And it locks the cursor to the window and a bunch of other stuff that was kind of moderately annoying where I would lose focus at bad times. All seems to be fixed from using GameScope. Now, the downside is that I can't address GameScope because I can't address GameScope in a generic way because the app ID is empty when you use GameScope for Neary. Oh. So I have to make individual entries in my Neary config to place it on the right workspace or whatever, but that's fine. Minor inconvenience.
All right.
What else you got?
The last thing to talk about is the firewall stuff.
Oh,
because we talked about the audio.
You got to get this done before January.
Yeah, well, I want to get this done for CES. And a lot of people chimed in. Thank you. There was a lot of people saying like, hey, listen here, you configure here, or you can do this. Some people are still pointing to the audio, like it's an audio thing. And I was like, man, I could have swore when I originally looked at the Fedora documentation that the firewall was already installed, which I talked about last week.
Yeah, it is.
Which is true. What I didn't realize, and I went back to the actual Fedora stuff, is that like not only is it installed, it is actually activated and running by default.
Okay.
Like so, it'll show you.
But is it not firewall?
It's using FirewallD.
Yeah.
So you put
FirewallD
in the command line. What? You got me. All right. So
all year.
Yeah, boom.
I've been waiting.
So I'm looking at the fedoraproject.org.
Yeah.
The setting up the FirewallD. The first line says all Fedora editions install, configure, and activate the firewall by default. No further action is required.
I don't think they did a good job configuring it if you were getting weird audio prompts.
Well, so and then they give you a little terminal command to say, oh, okay, to double check that it's running. I ran it. It does say it's active and running.
For systemd status firewall D, right?
No, systemctl status FirewallD. They do go into other things to be like, oh, hey, here's how you manage it. Here's what you want to do. I mean, I don't want to do anything that crazy with it. I just didn't want.
You don't want to have. You don't want to be bare naked.
Yeah. So I do wonder. I mean, could it have been an audio thing without the firewall? Because I mean, by all accounts, I haven't changed anything. Like the firewall, by all accounts, seems to be active and running. What it's actually doing, I don't know. I don't know enough about firewall kind of stuff. But now I am starting to think, oh, okay, I need to go down that audio route thing that they're talking about. But
I think you should. Yeah, I don't know. I think you should. I think what you should do is unplug your router at home and just plug your computer directly into the raw internet. Mm-hmm. And then see how long it takes before stuff starts opening randomly when you're on a public IP address. Like if your mouse cursor starts moving, firewall's not good enough.
Easy, boom.
Yeah. I don't actually know about that. Like this is a place where like I've benefited mightily from Windows shipping default. Like the balance between a firewall that's so strict it's going to annoy you and make you so annoyed that you just turn it off, and one that's so lax that it doesn't actually provide the benefit that you need is hard to land. And I think it's one of the places that Microsoft does a pretty good job with the defaults.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know. I'm kind of curious.
Well, I'm curious because I do want to know, like I do want to have more time to go through the official documentation to be like, oh, okay, maybe there's some stuff in there to configure. I mean, I think the bigger problem is that because I don't know a ton about networking, I don't know exactly what I want to configure, and so I don't want to like just break anything just because like I'm like, oh, I should probably have that. Yeah. So I don't want to go down that route.
Just turn off port 80. That'll be fine.
There you go. I do know that one. Yeah. And the audio one, I think I want to dive into a little bit more before I do it as well. But there's also one other thing that people actually recommended that I didn't even think of.
Yeah.
So I have right here a portable router.
Oh, there you go.
So a lot of people were like, you can get around this just by using a portable router, right? And I mean, usually when I'm on a work trip, the one of the ways that I try to stay a little more safe is to actually connect it to my phone and then have, just me work off cellular connection stuff. So when I don't want to do that, I could just do the portable router.
I think the portable router feels safe.
Yeah. So I do have this one. This is one that ASUS had provided like a couple years ago. I actually have never used it, but it does have 5G built in, or I'm sorry, Wi-Fi 6.
The 5G you'll provide with your phone. Or
exactly.
With
the, So maybe this is actually just a better, easier solution. But then again, maybe I also don't want to just carry around a portable router.
It seems like a pain in the butt.
I mean, listen, when I'm at a trade show, I'm already bringing a ton of stuff anyway.
That's
so
true.
like, I probably will bring this anyway just to be safe.
So the other thing you could do is set up a VPN and just like VPN back to your house because you have good internet at your house. And then you're only connected through that tunnel.
Yeah. Well, but then I'm still limited by that hotel tunnel. So.
Well, the hotel Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I would be curious. Like, we should get a thread going in the Discord about this topic because it's a little more opaque. I did a little bit of reading. I didn't super dig into it, but it's more opaque than I would hope. And it's because the problem is a lot of the documentation for the firewalls, especially the FirewallD and stuff like that, it's configured mostly by text files, is that if you don't have a pretty good understanding of how like subnets and ports and VLANs and all that stuff work, you're going to be completely out of your league almost immediately. And somebody has to have addressed this with a simple configurator for like FirewallD or something like that gives you the equivalent of the Windows pop-up that's like, hey man, somebody's trying to do something on this port. I don't know what exactly it is. Do you want to allow it or no?
Yeah.
And because that's what you need is like a case-by-case, like relatively locked down with a case-by-case unlock on demand as you need it.
I mean, but realistically, I'm not going to be needing to do a ton.
Well, yeah,
right?
but you don't want to have your computer just,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, like the VPN thing, I think is the other option too. Yeah. Is to,
so VPN, portable router, phone connection only. Although uploading video and stuff, that's kind of expensive.
So luckily at trade shows, I'm usually reviewing the videos, not uploading or anything like that.
You're still watching them.
Yeah. But like streaming the video is probably usually fine enough for the most part. I don't know.
Okay.
This is a new hotel. I haven't stayed at this new one, so I can't talk about the speeds. But yeah, that's it for my diary stuff. Not a ton. Like I said, over the break, the plan is to get Linux installed on that system, on that gaming system. I'm actually really excited.
I played a lot more games the last couple of days. It's as I've had time. It's been really nice. Like it works well. I need to get my homework is to get Bitfocus Companion and get the stream machine up, which means OBS, hopefully using the same setup that I have for the Windows OBS. Get Bitfocus Companion into a place where it's essentially mimicking my old setup on the Windows side.
Mm-hmm.
I want to applianceize the whole thing so that I just hit the power button, turns on, and I hit go on the stream button in a minute or two.
That's the goal.
I got to get the bot. The unfortunate thing is I thought that my bot was cross-platform. I used streamer.bot which lets you can use that and it lets like moderators fire commands that change the state of OBS if I want.
Wow.
So like if like my mic conks out or something and they can put up a technical difficulties screen, stuff like that.
That's cool.
When I get up to get a drink, they run fake drink commercials on the stream. Have you ever seen these?
No, I'm sorry, I do not subscribe to Will Smith on Twitch.
The D's Fuel. D's Fuel has given me a $0 sponsorship for the last 10 years now.
Okay.
They did provide me with one case of D's Fuel, a novelty energy drink specifically for my channel.
I'm waiting for the Liquid Death sponsorship to.
Yeah. Well, D's Fuel doesn't have Liquid Death kind of money, but they got a lot of heart. Is the way I look at it. Yeah.
Like
so
that. There you go.
But yeah, so that stuff runs remotely. It also lets chat like trigger the clip command, right? So it clips the last 30 seconds, chucks that in the folder. Like the benefit of running the bot locally versus using something like Nightbot, which runs in the cloud, is that it can interact directly with your OBS install using the OBS WebSocket interface or an API plugin. The problem is StreamerBot is a Windows only app, and I'm having to run it through Lutris, I think, is probably where I'm going to be. Huh. Or through Proton Tricks or something like that.
So once you get this new machine up and running with Linux and configured, are you willing to dedicate a stream to this new box and just be like, yeah, hopefully it works?
Oh, I'll absolutely do a test stream at some point. Yeah.
And do you think that you'll do that over the break?
I would hope so.
Okay.
I mean, my breaks are always, when you have kids, your break is always part yours and mostly somebody else's. So we'll see how much time I actually have. But my hope is that I'll have time to spend on it. Yeah.
Well, ping me. Let me know.
Yeah.
I would love to tune in.
You'll hang out in the chat.
I don't really hang out on twitch.tv.
Yeah, no,
so
I know.
But if you do, I want to see your first stream on the new Linux box. Okay. Because it might
could go horribly wrong.
And disaster.
Yeah,
I want to be there for that.
I will say that the test stream when I did this, when I was trying to run on the GP on the integrated GPU, crashed multiple times and was real. It was a bad.
Made for
time.
a great stream.
People, no, it was bad. Not great.
All right, sweet. Well, that is.
That's 2025.
The final episode, the final normal episode of 2025.
Are we going to do a question?
No, I think.
You think we did enough?
We need to,
Okay.
I'm trying to get out of here.
Look, I'm all in favor of getting out of here. I just didn't know.
Yeah, and then also we will we'll do a lot of questions. Like the plan is that January 2nd, the Friday, we'll do some sort of live version of the podcast,
preferably in the morning Pacific time.
Yeah, we need to figure out how we're going to do it. We'll
post a thing in the Full Nerd channel sometime a little bit in advance so that people know when it is.
Yeah.
And I think either one of us streams it. Maybe we'll stream it from the Linux machine.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to try Riverside as well because you can stream out from Riverside. We can do that. I'm curious to see how that works and share our screens and stuff like that. So maybe. Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'd like to show people. I think sharing the screens is always scary because it's like, what do you put up here that doesn't have personal information? But anyway, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, Will, thank you.
Hey, what's your favorite Linux distro, Adam?
Mine?
Yeah, for the year. Just get it out there.
Fedora. Yeah.
Fedora.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still have a soft spot for my first one was Pop OS. I've got a
you like Pop?
Soft spot. Yeah. And really, like I still have in the back of my mind be like, you should go back to Ubuntu. But I don't.
You are a plain vanilla guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that
Ubuntu Studio thing might be your biz.
Yeah.
It doesn't ship with DaVinci Resolve though, which is a choice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Licensing maybe. No.
Probably.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Hey,
thank you for joining me on this trip. It turned out. Guess what? It turned out 2025 was
officially
the year of Linux. I think we can say it with gumption and a solid point on the sentence that 2025 is the year of Linux.
I think I don't want to overstate our importance here. I think that Microsoft did some huge favors in making this happen.
Yeah,
by really
Microsoft.
driving Windows 11 into the ground and turning off Windows 10. I think shout outs to Microsoft. I think I like to think that we're doing our part to bring people into the fold.
Yeah, we're doing our part
by showing how easy it is. Only 18-hour-long episodes worth of talking about it, and we have mostly functional computers, so that's good.
Yeah,
but it's about incrementalism. That's the thing.
2026, all downhill. 2025 was the year of Linux. Now it's just.
Oh no! I think 2026 is like Linux 2, Linux harder.
Oh really? You think it's a sequel to Linux?
Yeah.
Dang,
I mean, look, we're bringing out a whole new kernel. We're rewriting the kernel in Rust. We're a whole new desktop windowing metaphors, stuff that you've never right now we have scrolling tiling window compositors. Next year it's going to be Z depth all the way in. Just
wait, kind of like Time Machine, like on the Mac Time Machine.
About.
The backup software.
What are you talking about?
Mac.
What's
OS?
A Mac?
Anyway.
Yeah, no, like that, but good.
Actually,
we're getting the Z-axis in here, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're going to hit the mouse, you're going to hit super and scroll the mouse wheel, and it's going to be like a Rolodex on your screen.
There are glasses-free 3D laptop screens.
I'm probably good.
So maybe you can actually literally have it.
I don't think I want that. That seems bad.
I kind of want it. Anyway. Yeah. So, and thank you.
Thanks
everybody.
for supporting us.
Yeah. Thank you. It has been a journey. We were very scared going into this, what it was going to be like.
And we had some of us more than others. I was a little scared. But it's been lovely, the community that's formed up around the podcast. I said this on the Tech Pod the other day, but I think all of my communities have kind of merged into one homunculus now of people who are kind of annoyed by Windows enough to try Linux. There's literally, it's more than dozens. We joke that there's dozens of us because that's the meme, but the number of people I've had reach out over the last 6 or 8 months and say, hey, you guys talking about this and being matter of fact and sharing the things that are hard and the things that the wins and the loses and all of the 15 times that Adam's installed Ubuntu, it's given them the courage to try, and it was easier than they thought it was going to be once they got going. And I think if there's one thing that people take away from us doing this, I think that's the thing. You can try something new. It's not as hard as you think it's going to be. You don't have to risk destroying your computer to do this. And the rewards are really, really big in a way that I didn't I didn't expect to be using computers in a different way than I was at the end of last year when we started doing this podcast.
It is crazy. It's crazy to think about. I haven't gone back and listened to episode 1, but I'm curious kind of to hear where it was. Yeah.
All I remember is you saying, "No, I'm not going. I don't need to use the terminal. I'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get a OS. I'm gonna get a distro that I can do everything using the mouse." You're like, no terminals.
Boom.
Next thing you know, he's gonna be doing a welcome to my Vim podcast.
Yeah, I don't know about
that.
Yeah. Anyway. Check back next week for your fix of Linux talk here on Dual Boot Diaries. We will have a special episode.
Special guest?
Special guest. We will have a live episode at the end of the week, and then we'll be off to CES. If you want to listen to us on the go, find us on anywhere. You can find the fine RSS feeds that point to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Deezer, iHeartRadio, all those places.
Yeah.
You can hopefully find us.
We're there.
I appreciate the people who leave reviews, little hearts and thumbs and stars, whatever your podcast platform will allow for. I appreciate that. Please,
really nice.
And please leave some more.
It helps people find out. Like if you don't have friends who are Linux curious, leaving a review helps other people who might be your friends eventually become Linux curious.
Yeah. Also, if you actually want to see our faces, we have a video version of this as well over on the Full Nerd Network YouTube channel. So that is we have a playlist on there for Dual Boot Diaries.
Wait, do we always sit on the same side?
Yes. Yeah, I'm always on the left.
You're always on the left.
Yeah, you're always on the right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
And then
that'll do it for us this year.
More to come. More to come next year.
Yeah,
we got some plans.
Hope everybody has a good holiday. And
happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Put together hope under your tree you find a futzing machine. This will be out after the tree's already open.
A Ventoid disc.
Yeah, Ventoid thumb drive.
Boom. Maybe in the stocking.
I don't know if I'd use one. If somebody just gave me a Ventoid thumb drive, I know you would.
Yeah, easy.
I think I'd probably just go buy one. Anyway,
thanks everybody. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.